Hi everyone, we're continuing with the story of Esther. Just a bit of a review from the last story. We had Esther is now queen and she was talking to Mordecai about what has gone wrong. Haman had made a decree in the land that the Jews would be killed on the 12th month, on the 13th day of that month. And so they were all in mourning, sitting at the city gates, very sad, and Esther finds out about this. And she is told from Mordecai that she should go to the king and talk to him about this and tell him that she too is a Jew and that her people are going to be killed. Now, this would have been a very scary thing. And so Esther asked Mordecai and the other Jews to fast and pray during that time for 3 days, and then she will go to the king. And this is not an easy decision to do. It would have taken a lot of bravery. And so we know that God is in control during the story and that he will protect his people and that he cares for his people. And so through this story, we're going to see kind of things leading up to Esther telling the king who she truly is and what's going on to her people. So we're going to continue with this story. So first we see Esther doing what she said she would do. So she will obey Mordecai, but she is disobeying the law of the king of Persia in doing this. She goes to the king after 3 days of fasting. She puts on her royal robes and she goes to see the king. And when he sees her, he was happy and he held out his golden scepter, which would have been a sign that he's welcoming her in and that she's not going to die from going to visit the king. He asks her what she would like, and he says he would give her anything up to even half of her kingdom because he loves her so much. So he's really being generous and loving and happy. So this is exactly what Esther needs. However, she wanted Haman and the king to come to a banquet with her. So she's not ready yet to tell the king truly who she is and what is happening to her people and what Haman has done to her people. And so she says, instead, come to a banquet that I am preparing and bring Haman as well. So this is leading up to her telling the king the truth. Then we have her telling the king accepts this, and then they shortly after go to this banquet. So at the banquet, the king asks again, "What is your request? It shall be given to you up to half of the kingdom. What would you answer if you got asked this?" Right? Like, what would you ask for? You could have anything up to half the kingdom. Would you be scared of asking for something you wanted, like a new toy, clothes, or money? Or would you be brave and remember what you were trying to help your people? So Esther here could have asked for anything, but she needs to keep the big picture in mind and the people that she's trying to save. She decides not to answer the question right away, so she asks the king and Haman to come to another banquet the next day. So she still hasn't asked the king yet. Now Haman is very excited about this and the king is happy, and so Haman went home that day very happy, but as he left the palace, he saw Mordecai. And this brought anger to him because Mordecai would not bow down to him. Haman kept his anger inside him until he got home, and he told his friends and his family how happy he was that he was able to be rich and that the king liked him and that he was able to go to this banquet with the queen and that he'd get to go to another banquet with the queen and king tomorrow. But then he said, but it makes him so angry that Mordecai would still not bow down to him. And so his wife and his friends told him that he should build a gallows. So this is a big platform where people are hung, so they'd be killed here. That is 75 feet high. So if you took 12 of your dads and had them stand each on each other's shoulders, so if you had them keep stacking on top of each other, that's how high this gallows would have been that Haman built. And so he's building these gallows to kill the people that are making him angry. And remember, Mordecai is right now really that person that he does not like. So he seems very pleased with the idea, and he goes and he makes these gallows. Now, the next part of our story is a really big turning point in the story of Esther, because God is in control here, not only using his people, but the people in the story in the way that he wants it to happen. So this is from Esther 6, and we hear that that night the king could not sleep, and he can't sleep, and so what he does is he gets two of his servants to read the records about what has happened in his kingdom in the past. Now, we've heard this before because earlier in the story, Mordecai saved the king's life, and it was written down in these chronicles, or the records, the history of what has happened in the kingdom. So, what he reads is that Mordecai had warned the king through Esther that the two servants were at the door were going to plot to kill him. And the king thought, what has been done to Mordecai to say thank you for helping me? And the servant said that nothing had been done for him. As he was reading this, they heard someone coming into the court, and they see that it is Haman coming to the king. And so the king is thinking about how Mordecai was never rewarded for his wonderful acts in saving the king. And now he's going to ask Haman what he thinks should happen. So the king asks him to come in, and he asks him, Haman, what would you do to someone that the king would like to honor and thank? Now Haman thought, who else could the king be talking about but me? Of course the king is trying to thank me, so he thinks of all the things he would want the king to do. And so he thinks, and he answers the king should have him wear a royal robe that the king has worn and a royal crown. And he should be given one of the most noble princes, to be given to be one of the most noble princes, and then this person should be paraded through the city on the horse and have everyone say, this is what is done to a person that the king wants to honor. And so he has this grand idea about himself parading down the streets with a crown and the king's robes, and being told that, telling everyone that the king honors him. Now, Haman doesn't know this, but it was Mordecai that the king had in mind for this. So the king then says, that's a great idea. Take my robe and horse and do this for Mordecai, the Jew. Do everything exactly as you said. When Haman heard this, you can guess what he was thinking. He did not want to do this for Mordecai, the man that he hated, right? He had so much anger inside towards Mordecai. But he did as the king asked, and he paraded Mordecai through the city, saying, this is what is done to the person the king wants to honor. After Haman went to his house and was upset and told everything to his wife said that Haman may not be able to get rid of Mordecai. And deep down we know that God is in control, and that he would not win this battle against him. So even though Haman is fighting against God and God's people, we know that God is the one in control, and Haman can never win this battle. So they were a little bit afraid of God and thought that Haman would not succeed in beating him, but would get hurt himself. And so there is some warning here to Haman that he cannot defeat God and God's people like Mordecai. But as this happens and they're talking, he gets interrupted and he is asked to come to the banquet that Queen Esther is preparing for him and the king. And this is where our story ends, with a little bit of anticipation. What's going to happen next? Is Haman going to get in trouble? Is Esther going to be able to save her people? What will happen to Mordecai? Will he hang on the gallows that Haman made for him? So you'll have to wait and see. All right. Bye.